The galaxy had always believed one thing about humans. They were slow to anger. They were patient. They avoided war whenever possible. But on a quiet morning near Jupiter, that belief began to crack. Inside Jupiter Deep Listening Post 12, Commander Rhea Morgan stood alone in the control room. The giant gas planet filled the window behind her, turning the room orange and red with swirling light. Rhea had seen 1,000 signals during her career. But this one felt different. Wrong. Heavy. The screen flashed again. A single message repeated in a cold, sharp voice, translated from an old alien language. Humanity has grown too strong. Your expansion must end. Surrender your worlds, or watch them burn. Rhea froze. This was not a warning. This was a declaration. And it came from the Zereth Dominion, one of the oldest and most feared empires in the galaxy. An empire that crushed planets without hesitation. An empire that never threatened twice. Rhea replayed the message. Every officer in the room fell silent. Even the machines seemed to hold their breath. Send an emergency broadcast to Earth, Rhea ordered. Her voice was steady, but her heart was pounding hard. Within minutes, the signal reached every human colony. Mars, Europa, Titan, all of them. Fear spread like fire across the solar system. People locked themselves in homes. Governments argued. The news channels screamed that humanity was finished. Everyone waited for the first attack. But something else happened first. On the dark side of the moon, a massive metallic door began to shake. Dust that had not moved for decades rose into the thin lunar air. Then the ground split open. Under layers of rock and ancient steel, a hidden hangar came alive. Lights flickered. Engines hummed. Silent machines awakened. Inside the hangar sat 6 enormous battleships, black as night. No registration numbers. No official records. Not part of any known human fleet. These ships belonged to Project Eclipse, a forgotten secret program. A program whispered about in old conspiracy stories but denied by every government. Project Eclipse had one purpose: prepare for the day aliens decided to destroy humanity. For years, scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked in the shadows. They built weapons no one had seen before. Engines that broke the rules of physics. Shields stronger than anything humanity used in open space. And now, the day they trained for had come. The 6 ships rose from the moon's surface without a sound. They moved like shadows. No light. No heat signature. Almost invisible. Commander Rhea saw the first ship appear on her radar. "What is that?" an officer whispered. Rhea did not answer. She knew this was human tech, but not the kind shown to the public. A message came from the lead Eclipse ship. "Earth Command, stand by. We have waited long enough." For the first time since the warning arrived, Rhea felt something strange. Not fear. Not panic. Something else. Hope mixed with danger. Because she knew. Whoever controlled those ships was not interested in peace talks. They were preparing for war. The Zereth Dominion expected humans to surrender. To fall to their knees. To beg for mercy. Instead, humanity was about to reveal a side the galaxy had never seen. As the Eclipse fleet entered open space, Mars detected the first hostile movement. A Dominion scout ship appeared near the colony. It scanned the surface, preparing to send coordinates to the main fleet. People on Mars panicked. Evacuation alarms rang. Families ran to the shelters. But before the Dominion ship could react, one of the Eclipse ships appeared behind it. Silent, dark, deadly. A bright pulse flashed. 1 second. Only one. The Dominion ship vanished into dust. No explosion. No debris. Just silence. Across the solar system, humans watched the footage. And for the first time in history, the galaxy saw a weapon that did not belong to any known human technology. Rhea stared at the screen in disbelief. What kind of weapon is that? No one answered. No one knew. But one thing was clear. Humanity had crossed a line. The warning from the Dominion spread across the stars. Alien governments panicked. If humans had weapons like these, if they were ready to use them, then humanity was no longer a young species. They were something else. Rhea looked at her officers. They thought we would break, she said quietly. They thought we would surrender. She turned back to the screen, where the Eclipse fleet formed a dark wall around Earth. But they forgot something important. Humans don't give up. For the first time in galactic history, humanity snapped, not in fear, but in defiance. And the Six-Day War was about to begin. Day 1 of the Six-Day War began with silence. A strange, heavy silence that covered the solar system like a dark cloud. Commander Rhea Morgan stood in the main control room of Post 12, staring at the data coming from Mars. The readouts flickered red. Warning lights blinked everywhere. Something huge was entering the colony's orbit. The Zeroth Dominion was not waiting. They were already here. A nervous officer ran to Rhea. Commander, Mars City is requesting help. They say something is blocking the sun. Rhea stepped closer to the screen. Her breath stopped. Above Mars, a giant shadow stretched across the sky. An alien warship, larger than any human city, hovered silently. Its dark body covered the colony in darkness, turning day into night. People in the streets panicked. Alarms howled across the red plains. The newsfeed showed the massive warship slowly lowering its weapons. Mars did not have the power to defend itself. Rhea whispered, "This is their first strike. They want to crush morale." Back on Mars, a young girl stood on her balcony holding her mother's hand. She looked up at the ship with wide, scared eyes. "Mom, is that thing going to fall?" Her mother didn't answer. The Dominion ship charged its main cannon. Light gathered along the weapon's core. Operators on Mars screamed into their radios for help. But help was already moving. From the dark side of the moon, the Eclipse fleet accelerated. The 6 black warships, ghost-like and silent, shot across space like shadows cutting through the night. They had no insignias, no recorded name, only code numbers. But they were built for moments like this. On board Eclipse Ship 01, Captain Arden Hale watched the hologram projection of the Dominion giant. He spoke calmly, almost coldly. "Target locked. Weapon charge ready." The ship's crew did not speak. They had trained in silence all their lives. The giant Dominion ship fired its cannon. A beam of blazing energy raced toward Mars. People across the colony screamed. The ground shook. The beam glowed brighter, seconds away from impact. But then, a thin silver flash sliced across space. The energy beam scattered like dust. Eclipse Ship 01 had fired first. But the weapon was unlike anything anyone had seen. There was no explosion, no shockwave. The silver flash simply erased the Dominion attack. Rhea stared at the feed. "What kind of technology is that?" No one answered. Captain Arden's voice echoed again from the Eclipse ship. "Prepare Phase 2. The Eclipse fleet split into 3 groups. Each moved with unnatural speed, weaving around the Dominion giant like dark predators circling prey. The alien ship tried to react, but it was too big, too slow. "Fire pulse lances," Arden ordered. 6 thin beams struck the giant ship from 6 directions. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Dominion giant began to crack. A soundless burst of light tore across its hull. Metal folded inward like paper. Whole sections imploded. The warship broke apart without a flame or explosion, only collapsing silence. The galaxy had never seen a ship die like this. Mars erupted in cheers. Families ran out of shelters, pointing at the falling debris. People hugged strangers. They believed the battle was over. But Rhea watched the radars closely. Her eyes widened. No, this was only the scout wave. 3 more Dominion warships warped into Mars orbit, smaller than the first, but faster. Their weapons charged instantly. They didn't care about civilians. They wanted destruction. Eclipse Ship 04 intercepted the first volley. A shimmering shield formed around the ship, again, unlike anything humans used before. Dominion energy blasts hit the shield and turned into harmless sparks. Captain Arden watched the battle and gave a quiet signal. "Release the Hunter drones." Tiny black objects detached from Eclipse Ship 03. At first, they looked like dark dust. But then they moved. Fast, sharp, perfect in formation. The drones swarmed around the alien ships like a storm of silent knives. Within seconds, the first Dominion cruiser went dark. Its engines died. Its lights vanished. It drifted helplessly. Mars citizens watched the feed, mouths open. Humans were not just fighting back, they were dominating the battlefield. But the Dominion did not retreat. Their remaining ships charged directly at Mars, preparing to crash into the colony. They would rather die than admit defeat. Captain Arden tightened his jaw. Time for final strike. He tapped a single command. The Eclipse flagship fired a sphere of bright white energy. It expanded outward like a silent wave. Not explosive, but crushing. The Dominion ships froze mid-flight, then folded in on themselves, vanishing into tiny fragments. The sky over Mars turned bright for a moment, then calm. The battle was over. Mars City survived. But something far bigger had changed. For the first time in history, humans defeated a Dominion battle group in minutes. No one in the galaxy had ever done that. Back in the control room, Rhea Morgan stood tall. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were sharp. Send this message to every colony. Mars stands. Humanity stands. The Zeroth Dominion is not unstoppable. Whispers spread across the colonies. People who were once terrified now felt something new. Confidence. Strength. Defiance. The message echoed through space. Humanity had snapped, but not in fear. In power. Day 1 was over. Day 2 would be worse. And the Dominion had no idea what was coming. Day 2 began before sunrise on Earth, though almost no one slept that night. People stayed close to screens, waiting for updates from Mars. The victory on Day 1 filled them with hope, but hope was not safety. Everyone knew the Dominion would return, stronger, angrier, and far more prepared. Inside the Earth Defense Command Tower, Commander Rhea Morgan stood over a glowing map of the solar system. Red marks spread across the edges like drops of blood. Dominion ships detected near Neptune, an officer reported. 4 destroyers, 1 dreadnought. Rhea's face tightened. A dreadnought was not like the ships Mars had faced. It was a war titan, built to crush fleets, not colonies. Behind her, Admiral Vance entered the room. His voice was rough, old, and full of buried secrets. They're testing our borders, he said. The real invasion hasn't started. Rhea looked at him sharply. You knew this would happen? Vance didn't answer. He didn't have to. There were too many secrets in this war. Far away, near Neptune's blue fog, a small human research station detected a strange sound. It wasn't a message. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't anything the scientists could identify. It was a pulse. Soft. Rhythmic. Almost like a heartbeat echoing through space. Dr. Lena Ford, the station's chief scientist, listened again. She felt a chill run up her arms. I've heard this before, she whispered. In the Eclipse archives. Before she could explain, the Dominion dreadnought appeared on the station's scanners. Its arrival was like a black storm swallowing the sky. The station shook. Lights flickered. Crew members screamed. The dreadnought locked onto the station with a tractor beam. The station couldn't move. Couldn't hide. We're trapped, a young technician yelled. But Lena only stared at the pulse patterns on her screen. She knew what it meant. Back on Earth, alarms echoed through the command center. Neptune station under attack. Everyone turned toward the main screen. Rhea held her breath. But then something happened that no one could explain. A blue ring of energy appeared around the Neptune station. Thin, weak, but growing stronger. It wrapped the station in shimmering light. The Dominion dreadnought fired a heavy plasma blast. The blast hit the blue ring and vanished like a drop of water on hot metal. The control room erupted in gasps. What kind of shield is that? An officer whispered. Admiral Vance didn't answer. He looked almost afraid. Rhea stepped closer to him. Admiral, what do you know? Vance sighed. His voice was low. There is something Earth built long ago. A weapon hidden in deep space. A weapon never meant to be used unless humanity was facing extinction. Rhea stared at him. What weapon? The pulse. The Admiral explained. Years ago, before Earth joined any interstellar alliance, humans discovered a strange energy field near Neptune, a natural anomaly. It behaved like a living thing, copying signals, bending waves, absorbing electricity. Scientists studied it secretly. They learned how to control it, how to turn it into a shield, and later, into a weapon. The project was hidden, buried, erased from records. Only 5 people knew, and now Rhea was the 6th. She whispered, "Why hide something like this?" "Because the galaxy would fear us," Vance said softly. "And fear leads to war." The words hung in the air. Near Neptune, the dreadnought fired again and again, trying to break through the pulse shield. Each shot dissolved into blue sparks. The Dominion commander inside the dreadnought growled in rage. "Human technology cannot do this. Increase firepower." The dreadnought unleashed a wave of plasma strong enough to vaporize a mountain. But still, the pulse field held. Inside the human station, Dr. Lena Ford stared at the energy around her. "It's learning," she whispered. "It's responding to their attacks. It's protecting us." The Dominion ship prepared a final attack, a superheated beam meant to cut the station in half. But just before the beam fired, the pulse reacted. The entire blue ring shifted, tightened, and then shot outward like a tidal wave. The pulse hit the Dominion dreadnought head-on. The massive ship jerked. Its engines died. Lights went dark. Its entire power system collapsed. And then, the dreadnought floated helplessly, dead in space. The pulse had shut down the ship without firing a traditional weapon. It simply erased its energy. Back on Earth, the command room exploded with noise. It disabled a dreadnought. "That's impossible. How does it work?" Rhea stared at the data in disbelief. "It's not a weapon," she whispered. "It's something else." Admiral Vance nodded slowly. "It is alive," he said. "It reacts. It adapts. It protects." Rhea turned to him sharply. "Then why didn't we use it before?" "Because we cannot control it," Vance answered. "We can only guide it. And if it grows too strong, even we will not survive." Rhea felt her stomach tighten. Humanity had a secret advantage, but also a dangerous one. News of the dreadnought's defeat spread across alien channels. The Zereth Dominion was humiliated. They lost a dreadnought to a small human station. Other alien races watched in fear. If humans had a weapon that neutralized ships so easily, what else were they hiding? Rhea gave the final order of the day. "Prepare all colonies. The Dominion will attack again. And next time they will come for Earth." Day 2 ended with a chilling truth. Humanity had a secret weapon, but the galaxy had no idea how far humans were willing to go. And the pulse was only the beginning. Day 3 of the 6-day war began with a sound no one on Earth would ever forget. A deep, rolling hum, like distant thunder, echoed through the atmosphere. People looked up at the sky, expecting clouds, storms, anything normal. But the sky was clear. The hum was not coming from Earth. It was coming from space. Commander Rhea Morgan rushed into Earth Defense Command. Officers stood at every screen, pale and silent. The main hologram showed thousands of red dots. At first glance, they looked like stars. But stars don't move. Her breath caught in her chest. "It's the Zereth Armada," an officer whispered. More than 2,000 ships entering Earth orbit. No alien fleet had ever sent this many ships before. This was not a battle. This was an extermination. Admiral Vance gripped the edge of the table. "They want to make an example of us. If Earth falls, the colonies will surrender." But something felt wrong to Rhea. These ships, they didn't come through normal warplanes. "No," Vance said quietly. "They used dark phase travel. It means they want no survivors. No witnesses." The lights in the command center flickered. The hum grew louder. The invasion had begun. Above Earth, the sky turned black. Alien destroyers formed rings around the planet. Cruisers moved into attack positions. Dreadnoughts glowed with red energy, preparing to fire. Billions of people watched from windows and streets. Parents held their children. Elderly whispered old prayers. Everyone felt the same crushing fear. On the largest Zereth ship, Commander Zaltor rose from his throne. His voice was sharp and cold. Earth will kneel today. Begin the bombardment. Weapons opened across the alien fleet. But before the first shot fired, space rippled like water. 6 shadows emerged. The Eclipse fleet. Humanity's silent guardians. Captain Arden Hale stood on the Eclipse flagship, watching the armada from behind his dark visor. Target the dreadnoughts first, he ordered. No mercy. No warnings. Eclipse ship 02 dove toward the first dreadnought. The alien crew panicked. What is that? It's not broadcasting any ID. Before they could react, the Eclipse ship released a thin, white beam. The beam passed through the dreadnought like a ghost. For 2 seconds, nothing happened. Then the dreadnought split apart, cleanly, perfectly, like someone sliced it with a giant blade of light. Half of it drifted away silently. Alien officers screamed. Earth citizens gasped. Even human soldiers couldn't believe what they were seeing. The Eclipse fleet fired again. Every shot was precise. Every movement impossible. Every weapon silent. Within minutes, the outer ring of the armada collapsed. But the Zereth Dominion didn't come unprepared. Commander Zaltor slammed his claws on the control panel. Activate the null barriers. Block their weapons. A massive spherical shield expanded across 10 Dominion ships. The next Eclipse pulse hit the barrier. And failed. The weapon simply bounced off, like light reflecting off glass. Captain Arden narrowed his eyes. So this is their countermeasure. The Dominion ships opened fire. Red plasma tore across space, raining toward the Eclipse fleet. For the first time in the war, humanity was outmatched. 3 Eclipse ships took direct hits. Their black hulls cracked. Shields flickered. Crew members fell. Eclipse ship 05's engines exploded, sending the ship spinning toward Earth. The Dominion cheered. Earth's shadow fleet is finally bleeding. Zaltor roared. But Earth still had one more surprise. Deep near Neptune, the pulse anomaly reactivated. Dr. Lena Ford stood in her station, staring as the energy field grew brighter. It's responding to the armada, she whispered. It senses danger. The pulse surged outward, stronger than before. Blue waves rippled through the solar system. Earth's skies flickered. Dominion sensors malfunctioned. Their dreadnoughts lost tracking systems. The pulse swept across the battlefield like a silent tide. And then it hit the null barriers. The barriers shattered like glass. Captain Arden heard the signal. The pulse cleared the shield. All Eclipse ships. Fire everything. The Eclipse fleet unleashed a full volley. White beams. Blue arcs. Silent energy flashes. The Dominion's main battle line fell in seconds. One by one, the armada began to break. But humanity wasn't done. Earth launched its surface defense cannons. Orbital platforms fired rail rounds the size of trucks. Fighter wings swarmed upward like silver insects. For the first time in history, human ships fought beside Eclipse ships. A battered pilot screamed through the comms. We're hitting them hard. They're falling back. Another voice shouted. Look, even the dreadnoughts are retreating. Commander Zaltor realized the truth. The battle was lost. Fall back, he ordered. Regroup at the outer moons. But the armada couldn't escape. The Eclipse fleet closed in. Faster. Sharper. More relentless. Zaltor's ship was the last to remain. The Eclipse flagship locked on. Arden gave one final order. End it. A single silent pulse hit Zaltor's dreadnought. The ship folded inward, disappearing into a flash of white light. The armada was gone. The sky cleared. People came out of shelters. Children pointed at the glowing trail left by the pulse. Families cried with relief. Earth had fought the largest invasion in human history. And won. Rhea stood in the command center, staring at the final numbers. 16 billion lives saved, she whispered. But how many more battles like this are coming? Admiral Vance placed a hand on the table. The Dominion lost today, he said. But they will return. Stronger than ever. Rhea nodded. Day 3 had ended in human victory. But the galaxy had learned something far more terrifying. Humanity was not a prey species. Humanity was a rising superpower. and the Dominion now feared the very planet they once wanted to burn. Day 4 began with victory celebrations across the solar system. People on Earth cheered. Mars lit up its skies with fireworks. Colonies played the footage of the Armada's defeat again and again. For the first time in the war, humanity felt safe. But safety was a dangerous feeling. Because deep inside Earth's own government, a quiet storm was forming. Commander Rhea Morgan entered the Earth Defense Command chamber. The room was unusually silent. Generals stood stiffly. Officers whispered among themselves. Something felt wrong. At the center table stood Chancellor Orrin Hale, the political leader of Earth. He was known for being calm and logical, almost too logical. He turned to Rhea with cold eyes. "Commander," he said, "we need to talk about Project Eclipse." Rhea felt a sharp unease. "What about it?" The Chancellor placed both hands behind his back. "Project Eclipse is a threat to humanity." Rhea blinked, stunned. A threat? Those ships saved Mars. They saved Earth. Hale nodded slowly. "Perhaps. But we cannot trust a fleet that answers to no government. A fleet built in shadows. A fleet with weapons even we cannot understand." Rhea stepped forward. "With all respect, the Dominion invasion would have destroyed us without Eclipse." Hale's expression didn't change. "That is exactly the problem. Humanity now relies on a secret group of soldiers and scientists who do not report to the government. If they ever turn against us, we have no defense." Rhea felt anger rise inside her. The Dominion is the enemy, not our own people. But she saw it in his eyes. He had already made his decision. Hours later, in a hidden underground chamber, 7 high-ranking politicians gathered. The room was dark. The air was thick with fear. Chancellor Hale stood at the center. "We cannot win a war against the Zereth Dominion," he said. "The Eclipse fleet's actions only provoke them further. They will return with a larger army." A senator raised her hand. "So what do you suggest?" Hale looked down at the table. "We must open peace talks with the Dominion. And to prove our sincerity," he paused, "we must shut down Project Eclipse." The room erupted. "That's madness. They're the only reason we survived. The people will riot." Hale raised his hand. "Eclipse is too dangerous. They ignored orders. They fight like they are above the law. They hide technology from us. And I believe they hide far worse." The room fell quiet. Hale continued. "The Dominion has asked for one thing to stop the war: complete access to Earth's hidden weapons." The silence turned ice cold. He was talking about the pulse. Rhea, watching secretly from the shadows, felt her heart drop. He wanted to hand the pulse to the Dominion. That was betrayal. Rhea rushed to warn Captain Arden Hale, the commander of the Eclipse fleet. He appeared on her hologram screen, calm as always. "What's wrong, Rhea?" "Your brother," she said. "Chancellor Orrin Hale. He plans to shut down Eclipse. He wants to surrender the pulse to the Dominion." Arden didn't speak for a moment. His face hardened. "I knew Orrin feared us," he said. "But giving the pulse to the Dominion? That would doom every human colony." Rhea nodded. "He wants to arrest the Eclipse commanders at the next meeting. He plans to seize the ships." Arden looked down, deep in thought. "How long do we have?" "Hours," Rhea said. "Maybe less." At sunset, the Chancellor made his move. Earth defense troops surrounded the Eclipse hangars on the moon. Dozens of soldiers marched into the facility. They carried EMP rifles, designed to disable tech instantly. A young soldier hesitated. "Sir, these ships saved my family." His commander snapped back. "Orders are orders." The soldiers breached the hangar. But something was wrong. The Eclipse ships were already powering up. Engines hummed. Panels glowed. Shadows moved across the flight decks. Captain Arden Hale stood at the center of the hangar, calm as stone. "You came to take our ships," he said. "But you are too late." Chancellor Hale's voice boomed through the speakers. "Captain Arden Hale, stand down. You are hereby charged with treason." Arden shook his head. "No, Chancellor. You are the traitor." You would surrender Earth to aliens. The soldiers raised their weapons. Rhea's voice broke through on Arden's comms. Arden, get out of there. Arden lifted his hand. Eclipse fleet, launch. The hangar exploded with motion. Engines roared. Dust stormed outward. The 6 massive Eclipse ships rose above the lunar surface. Earth troops scrambled, shouting orders. Shut the hangar doors. Bring the EMP batteries. Cut their power. But it was useless. The Eclipse fleet blasted into orbit, leaving the moon behind. Chancellor Hale shouted through the comms. You are condemning humanity. The Dominion will destroy us. Arden's voice came cold and steady. They were always going to destroy us. But I will not let you help them. Back on Earth, protests erupted. Some people demanded peace. Some wanted Eclipse destroyed. Others begged for the fleet's protection. Humanity was no longer united. Fear had divided them. Rhea stood alone in the command center, watching the stars. War outside. Chaos inside. This was the worst nightmare for any commander. Because she knew, humanity cannot win a galactic war, if humanity cannot even trust itself. And Day 4 had ended with the deepest cut of all. Betrayal from within. Day 5 began under a sky filled with falling stars. They weren't stars. They were Dominion probes, thousands of them, entering Earth's atmosphere like flaming needles. Each carried sensors, scanners, and small weapons. Not enough to destroy cities, but enough to map every weakness. Commander Rhea Morgan watched them streak across the sky from the Earth Defense Tower. They're scanning us, she said quietly. They're preparing for their final attack. Officers around her reported chaos. Dozens of cities losing communication. Alien drones inside airspace. We can't track them all. Rhea clenched her fists. The worst fear of Day 5 had come true. The Dominion was targeting the sun deep in space. Near the asteroid belt, a massive object appeared. A dark sphere surrounded by red rings. It pulsed like a beating heart. The Zereth Dominion called it the Star Killer. A weapon shaped like a small moon. Its purpose: inject a collapsing particle into the sun, triggering a chain reaction that would destroy the entire solar system. One blast. One moment. Every planet gone. Rhea stared at the sun killer on the main screen. If that thing reaches the sun, she whispered, the war ends, and humanity ends with it. Admiral Vance stepped beside her. There is only one force fast enough to intercept it. Rhea looked at him sharply. Eclipse. He nodded. But after yesterday, they may not answer your call. Rhea knew he was right. Captain Arden Hale and the Eclipse fleet had gone rogue. Earth had tried to shut them down. The government called them traitors. But without them, humanity had no chance. Rhea walked into a private chamber and activated a secure link. A dark, static-filled screen appeared. Eclipse fleet, she said softly. This is Commander Rhea Morgan. I need your help. The screen remained silent. Rhea continued. The Dominion has deployed a star killer. It's moving toward the sun. We can't stop it. Only you can. The silence stretched. Then a voice broke through. Rhea. Captain Arden Hale. His tone was cold, guarded. You call us now, after your leaders tried to imprison us? After they tried to take our ships? Rhea closed her eyes. I know. And I'm not here to defend them. I'm here for humanity. If the sun falls, we all die. Including the people who betrayed you. Arden didn't speak. Rhea added. Please. Don't do this for them. Do this for the billions who never wanted this war. Silence again. Then, we will intercept the Star Killer. Rhea breathed out in relief. But, Arden added, there will be a price. Within minutes, the 6 Eclipse ships shot across space, pushing their engines faster than ever before. Streams of blue light trailed behind them. Inside the flagship, Arden studied the Star Killer's structure. It's protected by 3 Dominion battle rings, he said. We need full power to break through. His second-in-command frowned. But full power means... I know, Arden said. We may not come back. The crew didn't flinch. Eclipse soldiers had trained their whole lives for impossible missions. As the Eclipse fleet approached the Starkiller, the Dominion forces reacted instantly. Dozens of alien cruisers surrounded the weapon. Their commander spoke in a deep, echoing voice. Humans cannot stop destiny. Your star will die, and your species with it. The cruisers fired. The space around the Starkiller turned into a storm of red plasma. The Eclipse ships dived through it. Fast, silent, impossible. Ship 03 took a direct hit. Its hull cracked. Systems failed. Arden shouted, "Hold the line! We only need one ship to reach the Starkiller." Ship 03 ignited one last burst of engines and rammed itself into a Dominion cruiser, destroying both in a silent explosion. 2 Eclipse ships down. 4 remained. Back near Neptune, Dr. Lena Ford watched the pulse anomaly explode with power. Blue tendrils of energy stretched across space. "It's responding to the Starkiller," she whispered. "It feels the danger." The pulse surged forward. Earth systems flickered. The Dominion cruisers malfunctioned. Half of their weapons went offline. Arden saw the opening. This is it. Full thrust. The 4 remaining Eclipse ships broke through the Dominion rings and closed in on the Starkiller. Inside Earth Defense Command, Rhea received the final report. "Commander, the Starkiller cannot be destroyed from outside." Rhea felt her blood run cold. What does that mean? Admiral Vance spoke the words she feared. Someone has to enter the weapon and overload the core. It's a suicide mission. Rhea's throat closed. Then Arden. She didn't finish the sentence. On the Eclipse flagship, Arden stood alone in the center chamber. He knew what had to be done. He opened a channel to Rhea. "If humanity survives," he said, "tell them one thing. We didn't fight for governments. We fought for the people." Rhea's voice broke. "Arden, don't do this." He smiled softly. "Someone has to." The Eclipse flagship plunged directly into the Starkiller. Arden activated the overload sequence. The Dominion commander screamed, "Stop them! They will destroy everything." But it was too late. A blinding white pulse erupted from the Starkiller's core. The weapon collapsed. The Dominion fleet vanished in the shockwave. Space turned to pure light. Then silence. The Starkiller was gone. Humanity was alive. But the Eclipse flagship, and Captain Arden Hale, did not return. Day 5 ended with tears across the solar system, because victory always asks for a heavy price. Day 6 began with silence. A silence so deep, it felt like the whole solar system was holding its breath. The Starkiller was gone. The Dominion fleet near the sun had collapsed into dust. But the one who led the final charge didn't return. Across Earth, screens broadcast a single message. Captain Arden Hale, missing in action. People cried. Soldiers stood in quiet salute. Even the pulse anomaly dimmed, as if mourning the sacrifice of the Eclipse fleet. But the war was not over yet. Not even close. In deep space, the remaining Dominion armadas roared with rage. The destruction of their Starkiller was an insult they could not accept. 3 enormous dreadnoughts began moving toward Earth. Each one was large enough to eclipse a city. Their weapons could melt continents. Rhea Morgan watched the long-range scans with a shaking voice. "They're coming with everything they have left." Earth's defenses were nearly broken. The ships were damaged. The Eclipse fleet was gone. Millions feared this was the end. But then something strange happened. The pulse anomaly, the same mysterious energy that appeared on day 1, began to change. It grew brighter. It grew larger. It began to move. Dr. Lena Ford stood inside the Pulse Research Dome, alarms blaring around her. The anomaly, it's stabilizing. It's forming a structure. It looks like a gate. A gate of swirling blue energy formed near Neptune. It opened like an enormous eye waking from sleep. Lena stared in awe. For 6 days, it was watching us. For 6 days, it was learning. The pulse vibrated with a deep, powerful hum. Then, something stepped out. A ship. Not human. Not Dominion. Something ancient. something older than all known civilizations. The ship was shaped like a crescent moon, glowing with blue crystalline veins. It moved without thrusters, without sound, as if the darkness itself carried it. A voice broadcast across every device, every frequency. Humanity, you have done what no young species has done before. You resisted extinction. You fought without surrender. Rhea whispered, "Who are you?" The voice answered, "We are the first ones. We shaped the pulse." We watched as the Dominion grew arrogant. Lena's eyes widened. All this time, the pulse was a test? The voice responded softly, "No, a warning." Before anyone could ask more questions, alarms roared again. The 3 Dominion dreadnoughts arrived at Pluto's orbit, pushing forward like mountains made of metal and hate. Each one aimed its sun-crushing weapons toward Earth. Their commander's voice thundered across the system. "Human defiance ends now." The first ones replied, calm and ancient, "No, it is your empire that ends." The first one's ship moved forward, slow and graceful. The Dominion dreadnoughts fired together. 3 colossal beams that could tear apart a planet. The beams struck the first one's ship and vanished, absorbed like water in sand. The Dominion commander screamed in confusion. The first one spoke again. "Power without wisdom is a path to destruction." A wave of blue light expanded from their ship. It passed through the dreadnoughts, and the massive ships froze in place. Weapons died. Engines turned dark. Hull metal began to crack. Then, crack. All 3 dreadnoughts shattered into cosmic dust. The war ended in less than a minute. Earth watched in disbelief. The first ones sent a final message. "Humanity, hear this. You have proven your spirit. From this day forward, you are no longer prey in the galaxy. You are a rising power." Rhea asked quietly, "What about the pulse?" The blue energy gate began to shrink. "The pulse stays with you, a connection between your world and ours. Use it wisely." As the gate closed, the first one's ship dissolved into starlight. Rhea whispered, "We survived." Lena placed a hand over her heart. "No, we became something greater." Hours later, while Earth celebrated, a small, faint transmission appeared on an old eclipse channel. Static at first. Then a voice. Weak. Familiar. "Rhea. Lena. Anyone, this is Arden." Rhea froze. "Arden? Arden. You're alive." The signal cracked again. "I don't know where I am. A place of light. The pulse brought me here. I think they're calling it the threshold." "What do you see?" Lena asked, tears in her eyes. Arden's voice grew softer. "I see stars I've never known. I think they opened the way for us." The signal faded, but not completely. Humanity listened. Breath held. Arden's last words echoed across the solar system. "Tell them this isn't the end of our story. It's the beginning."